Betrayal cuts the deepest when it comes from the one you trust the most. Lena thought she had it all, a loving fiancé, a future full of promise. But one small receipt shattered the illusion, exposing a truth too devastating to ignore. Malik Moore wasn't just unfaithful, he had an entire second life, another woman, a secret family. But instead of falling apart, Lena did something unexpected. She played along, gathering every piece of evidence, watching him unravel, setting the perfect trap. And she wasn't alone. Because when two women scorned come together, revenge isn't just sweet, it's merciless. How would you handle finding out the person you love is living a double life? Let me know in the comments. Now, let's dive into the double life. Lena stood by the window of her upscale apartment in downtown Atlanta, watching the city lights flicker in the distance. Her fingers ran absent-mindedly over the receipt in her hand, a luxury resort booking addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Malik Moore. The date on the receipt made her stomach churn. It was from a week she knew Malik had spent with her. Confused and with a growing knot in her chest, she replayed the week in her mind. Malik had said he was at a business conference, but this receipt? It said something entirely different. She immediately felt a mix of anger and disbelief. She'd been with Malik for 5 years, a solid, committed relationship, or so she thought. This receipt opened a crack in the carefully curated life they'd built together. How had she not noticed the signs before? He was always busy, claiming work took precedence. Late nights, sudden weekend trips, excuses that never raised suspicions, until now. Lena's heart raced, her mind spiraling. Without overthinking, Lena did what most women would do in a moment of betrayal. She decided to confront him. But then, something inside her shifted. What if she didn't confront him right away? What if she bided her time, played the perfect fiancé, and discovered more? The thought of revenge, of him paying for this betrayal, filled her with a cold resolve. Lena met her best friend Amina at a cafe the following day. The space was filled with a mixture of chatter, clinking cups, and the rich smell of freshly brewed coffee. But for Lena, the world felt distant. She couldn't help but replay the discovery over and over in her mind. "Amina, I found something. I don't know what to do. He's been lying to me." Amina sipped her coffee, her eyes soft with concern. "You need to confront him, find out the truth." Lena shook her head, her hands trembling slightly. "Number. I'm not going to confront him right now. I'm going to play along. I'll let him think everything's fine. I want to know everything, who she is, how long this has been going on. When I have everything, I'll make him pay." Amina raised an eyebrow. "You're not just going to walk away from this?" Lena exhaled sharply. "I can't just walk away from 5 years, but I can make him regret ever thinking he could have 2 families." As she made her decision, a mix of anger, pain, and hope surged within her. She felt lost in the storm, but there was also a sense of control that calmed her. She wasn't going to let this destroy her. No, she was going to rise above it. The days that followed felt like a chess game. Malik was more distracted than ever, his business trips increasing in frequency. Every time he left, Lena scrutinized his movements, piecing together the fragments of his double life. She had learned that his schedule was full of holes. He was being more careful, but not careful enough. She noticed him checking his phone more frequently, always on edge whenever she asked a question. But Lena kept her cool. She maintained the facade of the perfect fiancé, ever the supportive partner. But on the inside, she was planning her next move. One evening, Malik returned late, as expected. He had a bottle of wine in his hand, a casual excuse for his tardiness. "Busy day at work," he murmured, brushing past her to set the wine on the counter. Lena forced a smile. Of course. She had placed a carefully crafted message in his phone's calendar. Dinner plans with a business associate that evening. She told him she'd be busy. She wasn't sure what she was expecting, but the look in his eyes, guilt, confusion, told her everything. She wasn't just playing along anymore. She was in control. It wasn't just a fling. Malik had built an entire second life. Lena discovered that Malik had 2 children with another woman, Jada, someone she'd never heard of. And they weren't living some secret life in a different city. They were in Atlanta, just across town, living in a suburban home. How had she missed the signs for so long? The discovery hit her like a blow to the chest. It wasn't just infidelity. It was betrayal on an unimaginable scale. He had promised her a life together, but instead, he was living a lie. Lena's stomach churned as the pieces of the puzzle fit together. Malik had been so confident, so sure that his life with her would stay untouched. But now, Lena had the power. She would tear his world apart, piece by piece. Her phone buzzed with a message from Jada, and the name immediately struck fear into her heart. Jada? Was this the woman Malik had chosen over her? The woman he had kept hidden from Lena? And why was she texting her? Lena's hands trembled as she read the message. I know about you. I know what Malik's been doing, and I'm done with him. Lena decided to meet Jada. She wasn't sure why. Maybe it was to understand the woman who had been living the life she thought would be hers. Or maybe it was because Lena knew this was the final piece she needed for her revenge. They met at a hotel bar, the atmosphere tense as Lena approached Jada. The woman's eyes narrowed as she looked up, sizing Lena up as if she could already feel the betrayal between them. You're Lena, Jada said, voice cold but steady. So, you're the other woman. Lena smirked. It seems that way, but Malik's been playing both of us. Jada's expression softened with a mixture of hurt and fury. I'm done with him. He's been lying to me for years. Lena leaned in. What if I told you I could help you get back at him? The offer hung in the air, heavy and dangerous. Jada looked at her, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. But it was clear. She wanted Malik to suffer. They both did. With the alliance formed, Lena and Jada set their plan into motion. It wasn't long before Malik began to sense the pressure mounting. His secret life was slipping through his fingers, and he didn't know who to trust anymore. He tried to reassure Lena, blaming the stress of work for his absences. But Lena knew better. She had everything she needed now. One evening, she confronted Malik, her voice calm but filled with purpose. I know everything, Malik. The second family, the lies. You thought you could have it all. Well, I've got news for you. Malik's face drained of color. His deflection was weak. Lena, this is not what you think. I was going to tell you. Save it, Lena cut him off. You've had years to tell me the truth, but instead you kept lying. You don't deserve my forgiveness, but I will make you regret everything. Malik's anger flared, but Lena stood firm. She had the power now, and Malik knew it. The following days were filled with chaos. Malik tried to salvage what he could, apologizing profusely to Lena, promising that things could go back to normal, that he would choose her over everything else. But Lena wasn't buying his words anymore. His pleas fell on deaf ears. What he didn't realize was that Lena was no longer interested in hearing him out. The man who had broken her trust so completely no longer had any power over her. But Malik's desperation led him to make a reckless move. He tried to patch things up with Jada, but it didn't go as he expected. Jada, furious and hurt by years of lies, was no longer interested in playing the role of his second choice. The confrontation between Malik and Jada was explosive, with accusations flying and heated words exchanged. She was done. She knew now that he would never change, that he was incapable of being the man he promised to be. Lena watched from the sidelines as Malik's life slowly unraveled. The man who had once seemed so unshakable was now a shell of his former self. And she? She felt no pity for him. He deserved every bit of this downfall. She had spent years loving him, and now he was paying the price for that betrayal. But as the dust settled, Lena realized something deeper. She wasn't just relishing his destruction. The relief she felt from his unraveling was not just about revenge, it was about freedom. The chains that had bound her to Malik were being shattered, and as his world crumbled, hers was beginning to rebuild, stronger, better, and freer than ever before. Jada reached out to Lena, suggesting they take things a step further. "We've exposed him, but there's still a bigger game to play. He can't get away with this, not without real consequences." Lena hesitated for a moment, but only a moment. She nodded. "You're right. Let's make sure he pays for everything." Lena and Jada's alliance became a force to be reckoned with. Together, they began to gather the final pieces of Malik's deception. They dug into his business dealings, his personal accounts, and the secret life he had kept hidden. Every day brought them closer to the truth, and every piece of evidence they uncovered added to the weight of his betrayal. Malik, however, was not stupid. He could feel the walls closing in, and it made him desperate. He reached out to his business partners, attempting to bribe his way out of the mess he'd created. But it was too late. The whispers of his double life were already reaching the ears of those who could expose him in the worst way possible. People he had trusted were beginning to doubt him. And that's when Lena and Jada made their move. They decided to take everything public: Malik's financial wrongdoings, his affair with Jada, his broken promises to Lena, and the truth of his double life. The stakes were high, and they both knew this would be the final showdown. They were ready. The press conference they planned would be Malik's undoing. The plan was meticulous. Lena had already set up a meeting with a reporter she trusted, someone who had been investigating Malik's business for months. The report was prepared, the evidence in place. All they needed now was Malik's reaction. When the day came, Lena's heart raced, not from fear, but from the anticipation of the power she held. She was about to show Malik that he could no longer escape the consequences of his actions. The press conference was a turning point, one that would forever alter the course of Malik's life. The room buzzed with anticipation as Lena took the stage. She had prepared for this moment for weeks, and now she was ready to expose him for everything he was. She could feel the weight of the truth as it filled the air. The room fell silent as Lena began to speak. "Ladies and gentlemen, you've all heard the story of Malik Moore, the Fortune 500 CEO. You've heard about his success, his charm, and his public persona. But what you don't know is the man behind the mask. What you don't know is the truth." She laid out the evidence: his secret family with Jada, the lies he had told to manipulate everyone around him, his financial indiscretions, and the hurt he had caused. Each piece of evidence was carefully laid out, one after another. The silence in the room deepened as the weight of the revelations hit the audience. As she spoke, Malik's face appeared on the large screen behind her, his expression a mix of shock and disbelief. He was watching his empire crumble before his very eyes. He tried to regain control, tried to speak over her, but it was too late. The truth was already out, and the damage was irreversible. Malik's downfall was swift. Within hours, his business partners pulled their investments, his reputation was shattered, and his once glowing public image turned to dust. The man who had once seemed untouchable was now a pariah. And Lena? She stood tall, her heart finally at peace. In the weeks that followed, Lena's life began to settle into a new rhythm. She found solace in the quiet moments, in the freedom that came with knowing she had reclaimed her power. Jada, too, found peace in the aftermath of their plan. She was no longer tethered to Malik's lies. The two women, now united by their shared experience, found comfort in each other's company. They had both been betrayed, but they had risen above it. Lena's heart felt light as she sat in the park, watching the sunset. The colors of the sky seemed to reflect the peace she felt within herself. She had done it. She had taken back control, and now she could move forward. Malik, on the other hand, was left to pick up the pieces of his shattered life. His business was gone, his relationships destroyed, and his name tarnished beyond repair. The man who had once had everything was now left with nothing. Lena's thoughts turned to her future. She had learned valuable lessons from this experience about strength, resilience, and the importance of never settling for less than she deserved. As she stood up and walked away from the park, she felt a sense of hope fill her chest. She was free, and the world was waiting for her to take it. Turning to Jada, who had joined her for the moment, Lena smiled. "We did it. He'll never hurt anyone again." Jada grinned. "Karma's a bitch, huh?" Lena laughed, the sound rich and full of life. "You can say that again. Let's get out of here." Wow, what a ride. If you enjoyed this twist-filled journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stories by Lane for more unforgettable drama and surprises. And before you go, tell us, what would you have done in this situation? Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Thanks for watching, and remember, twists you will not see coming await in every chapter.